roll.
Just for the record, County Judge Jimmy Sylvia is not here today. And this is a regular meeting of Chambers County Commissioners Court here in Anahuac, Texas, on the 17th day of 2021. The courthouse of Anahuac, Texas, and the court agenda. And we'll start with our opening prayer. Brother Gibson from Hershey Gate will do that. We greatly appreciate that.
Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the leadership that you have given us, Lord, for our county. God, I pray your blessing upon them. God, I pray today as decisions are made that with the wisdom of heaven, God, they would do it with grace and your mercy in mind. Father, I just thank you for what you're doing in our county. I thank you, Father, what you're doing in the cities that represent this county. Father, I pray your blessing, God. I pray, Lord, that you continue to pour out your goodness and your kindness upon us. Father, we thank you today just for all that you have blessed us with, and we never want to take any of it for granted. We give you honor, we give you thanks, and we give you praise. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
And our pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
See you, Pastor.
Thank you. Okay, and we started at 9:31, I think. Alrighty, I think we're a citizens comment. We had one from Eric Verona. We don't see Eric here at this time. Was he doing it by Zoom or was he doing it in person?
I don't have
Okay, I can read what he wrote here on the deal. It's concerning the Sarah Sharon. I know we'll have some stuff in here later about naming a baseball field after Sarah. He felt that the most appropriate way to honor Sarah Sharon for all her contributions to Chambers County would to be named the kitchen at Rice Park in her honor. Of all the good things that she did for Chambers County, this is where she was most happiest, and that he feels that this would be the best tribute to her. I have to agree. I mean, Sarah worked in that kitchen and cooked a lot of meals for the county and people out there. So, I mean, we'll look at that and maybe have that on next court to do that. Okay. And I think Commissioner Hammond had a citizen's comment as well.
Yeah, just wanted to recognize the golf course and their group. So during 9/11 weekend, the Dayton Memorial American Legion Post 512, they hold their annual Patriot Day golf tournament as a fundraiser. So their course that they normally use, it was closed for renovation. So they elected to have it at the Chambers County course. And just a few highlights from Mark McClellan, which is the coordinator for the tournament, said, I can't say enough good things about the course personnel you have in place. You've put together a great public facility and a great staff running it. So it's actually a full-page letter, but I just did a couple of highlights. So just want to recognize James and his group for their efforts and what they do every day. So
thank you, Commissioner. I would like to comment on the Nicholas storm that we just got blessed to be passed on. I mean, I want to commend the county and all their departments from working together. I mean, emergency management, sheriff's department, everybody that worked in the EOC, road and bridge, everybody doing a great job. I want to commend them. And also want to remind everybody to keep people in Louisiana in the prayers. I mean, you see, my brother was a lineman before he passed away, and all these linemen are working on this, trying to restore electricity and power to these families over there. So we keep them in the prayer. But it was a good practice for the county, and I hope we don't have to do it again, but we are getting plenty of practice in. So I want to tell them appreciate it.
second all that.
Okay, we'll start with, I'll tell you what, we'll go to 1.4. Ms. Latia is here with the discuss and consider delinquent tax collection report submitted by Purdue Brandon, Fielder, Collins and Mott LLP.
And you will make, please make sure the mic's not on. We'll turn green.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. Thank
morning.
you.
Good morning.
Thank you for letting me come present this report to you. Mike Darlow apologizes. He had a conflict, so he couldn't be here. But before I start, I want to give you an update on the things we've been doing to collect your delinquent taxes since the last report, which was in March of this year. We have had 2 tax sales that have generated approximately $57,700 in tax sale proceeds. Those are split among the taxing entities that were included in the tax judgments. Additional money was recovered during those sales. 6 of the properties that had been posted were pulled prior to sale for payment. So the sales are active. We were assigned a new year to collect. The 2020 tax year was assigned to us in July 1 of this year. We mailed 2,236 letters to taxpayers notifying them of their delinquent taxes. We've been making phone calls, sending emails, trying to reach people, encouraging them to take care of their business, get into a payment plan if needed. So those are the few of the highlights. I'd like to move to the report fairly quickly. Page 1, which I think you all have copies of. Okay. Now you've seen these charts previously. The first one is the account breakdown chart. If you would notice first in the lower right-hand corner, that number is your total outstanding tax base. That's all taxes for all years. Since the time we prepared this report, we have collected another approximately $293,000. So that balance as of the end of August is closer to $1,076,800. So continue to work that for you. On this account breakdown chart, we take a look at where the accounts are by status. This time of year, this is not surprising that the largest group would be in action pending, which is the 48%. Now, in that category, the largest delinquent account owed to Chambers County is $147,000 in tax base. So that makes up a pretty substantial part of that action pending. It's currently involved in a bankruptcy. We have our bankruptcy group working on it. We've filed claims. We're working with the trustee and the attorneys for the company that owes the taxes, plus the prior company, because there was a sale that was involved in this. So we're working with everyone, trying to get those paid. And then also another group of accounts that is mineral accounts, we're working on getting paid, which make up about 83,000 of that as well. And then of course we see the smaller charts of the pie. Deferral are those properties that have the exemption that are put on by the appraisal district. And that essentially abates our tax suits or tax sale until the deferral gets lifted. Either the person entitled to the deferral moves, no longer occupies that property as their homestead, or they pass away. And then I just also wanted to point out the category bad address. That's not forgotten. That is in our first round of letters and contacts. The address research we had didn't yield a productive address. So we kick it back to our address research department, work on finding a better address, and then move it back into action pending. The next page is the dollar range. We look at the accounts by dollar value status. This is to make sure we're working all the way down the roll, even to the smallest increments of 1 penny to 100. And that's where another round of letters or another round of phone calls might be more effective than having to sue someone and incur all those additional legal fees. And the next page is the tax year chart. And again, the largest group on this chart is the most recent year, 2020, which was just assigned to us July 1 of this year. That makes up 594,000 of this pie. And again, that largest account of 147,000 is a pretty substantial part of that pie. But we do see as the years age that the sections of the pie get smaller, which is our thinking, try to collect the freshest years quickest, but continue to work the roll all the way down. The next couple of pages chart our status for you. We go back only 5 years for brevity, so that you can see the first chart is 2015. The original amount turned over to us, we see in the lower left-hand corner, was $1,642,672. And after 5 full years of collecting on that, we have collected 96.72% of that initial outstanding amount for a total of $1,588,800. And we can see with the next couple of years as we progress, the 2016 year, we continue to chart our progress for you and on our efforts to collect your delinquent taxes. That year, we were assigned $789,281, and after 4 full years of collection, we've collected 93.70%, which is $739,592. And that continues with the next couple, which I'll let you go ahead and look at your leisure. I want to go ahead and flip to the one titled 2020 tax year chart. It's a blue pie chart. This is a special chart we use this time of year because it looks at the most recent assignment. So I want to back up a little bit because this is how the tax calendar works. Your tax bills go out in October. They're due upon receipt. If they're not paid by February 1 of next year, penalty and interest will attach at a statutory rate under the law, and it'll continue each that the tax is not paid. The tax office tries to collect as much as they can. And then on July 1st, whatever's remaining delinquent is assigned to us for collection. So on the blue pie chart, the blue is the entire tax levy for the 2020 tax year, which was 61.8 million. The red sliver is what was remaining delinquent on July 1. So we were assigned to collect only 1.05% of your roll. The vast majority of people do pay their taxes. It's just that last bit that we work on collecting for you. And that is all I have for the delinquent tax portion. I wanted to add, I did a little bit of research when I was preparing for this because I've had some people ask me out of curiosity, is there a COVID effect on delinquent tax collections? And I can tell you, I looked at the past couple of years and it's remarkably consistent. That amount of the pie that remained delinquent that was assigned to us, dollar-wise and percentage. Last year, it was 1.09% of your total levy.
Okay.
And then the year before, it was 0.99. So it's relatively consistent.
Okay. Any commissioners have any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion to accept this into the record then. Motion made by Commissioner Tyson.
Actually, I did have one question.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry,
That's okay.
I forgot. Just, it was on the first chart in the uncollectible.
Yes.
How long do you leave that on there before you take it off?
That's a very good question. Uncollectible is mostly, well, it is those accounts that include business, personal property, businesses that have shut down, are no longer around, the owners can't be found, the business is no longer there. So there's not even any assets to seize, or mobile homes that have moved out of the county and can't be located. We do continue to try address research just to see if we can find people and send them some letters, or if there's a suit pending, of course, we prosecute that. The statute allows, well, instructs accounts to be removed from the tax roll 20 years for real property after they've been delinquent, so for them to be removed, or 10 years for personal property, so that you don't have old
So it's
years
by
just
statute.
That's correct. So unless we have a suit pending, or if the account was in deferral or in bankruptcy or litigation, we don't recommend those get removed just to protect their status.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then the last part is just real quickly the fine and fee portion. We collect your delinquent court fines and fees, and this is a historical snapshot of all of the assignments we received. And you can see per court of the 6 JP courts, the total turnover by dollar and number of items. And under the Constitution, the judge has the discretion to resolve those fines through cash or non-cash means. He can reduce the fine, he can waive it, he can allow the defendant to serve jail time or community service. So we track what's been dismissed or cleared through those non-cash means. Our job is to find people and encourage them, drive them to the court, talk to the judge to take care of their business. And then the last couple of pages behind the fine and fee chart We picked one JP court this time to highlight JP4 to show you top accounts by zip code. And you can see in the maps that the folks who come through and owe delinquent court fines and fees to JP4 are not just in the Mont Bellevue area, but they span further out. Then we track the top 10 bad addresses by zip code. And then finally, the map of the United States. This is where people who owe fine and fees to the JP4 are, and we work coast to coast to collect your money for you.
Awesome.
Are these, just curious, I mean, these people that owe this money, are these people that if they get pulled over, do they get drugged back down to the county or just actually?
It depends on if there's a warrant. Usually the way that it works is that they'll get a hold on their license.
Okay,
And they do a really great job of helping us out. Either they'll get the letter from Purdue and then they'll call the court, or there will be a hold on their license and then they need it, so then they contact us.
great.
So they do a really great job.
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you all for your business. We appreciate it. And please let me know if there's anything we can do better for you.
A motion by Commissioner Tyson, do a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hammond. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay,
Thank you.
motion carries. We'll go to 1.5, discuss.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's got several more. Discuss and consider approving resale offer submitted by Cavalue Enterprise LLC for $6,234. Partial 6602 East Chambers Independent School District versus Willie Mae Gidry, cause number 18DCV0216. Okay.
All right, thank you, commissioners. This
Yes,
is a private resale bid. So this is a property that was offered for sale at the sheriff's sale. There were no bids, so it struck off to the county it was actually struck off to the school, East Chambers ISD, to hold in trust for the use and benefit of all the entities. Mr. Lucas made a bid for the property. It is not 100%, which means it does not pay off all the taxes. It pays off a percentage. It's approximately 31.6% of the taxes. The school looked at this bid and approved it Monday night. So each entity that was in the tax judgment needs to approve it. Now, what's particular about this property, and I have some extra copies, if I might pass those up to you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Those pictures were in our package also.
Oh, were they? Okay, I didn't know. I wanted to be sure to bring this up. This property has a structure on it that looks like it's in bad need of repair or possibly even demolition. And so the bidder's, of course, taking that into account as well. It was struck off July 13th of this year. And we can see on the bid analysis how much of his bid would pay off the taxes owed to each entity. This person is a regular bidder. He has bid on property before. So he understands that the buyer beware, do your research analysis.
What do you recommend?
We recommend that the court accept the bid.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion on 1.5.
I'll make a motion. Accept.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Hammond, seconded by Commissioner Tynes to accept the bid of $6,234.
Yeah, this is a demo job here.
Yeah, it's not man-made.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll go to 1.6. Discuss and consider approving resale offer submitted by Canelo Investment LLC for $30,000, partial 25523, 25524, 25529, 25530, 19217, 25521, 25522, and partial 25528 Chambers County versus Zimmer JHET, calls number CV 27724.
Thank you, commissioners. Now, this bid is also a private resale bid. This property has been struck off the tax rolls since August of 2020. It is a bid for 49.79% of the taxes. Again, not 100% bid, so we need the approval of all the entities. These parcels are all undivided interests in a much larger parcel, which I believe the map is in your packet. Now, this person is bidding on what adds up to 7.992 of the acres. All but about 1.6 acres will be remaining. Those other two parcels are undivided interests as well. They're not included in this sale. The bidder knows what they're doing. So I'm not sure if their plan is to work with those other people, try to buy their interest, or maybe partition all their sections out. But this one also a usual bidder. And we can see under the analysis, the bid would pay off all the costs and then the portion of the taxes. Now, this one's got several, because of each of the accounts, you can see how the taxes would be paid off as to each account. And we do recommend that the court accept this bid as well.
Okay. Anyone have any comments or questions?
No, my comment was that they weren't buying 100%, but she already pointed that out.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank
Entertain a
you.
motion.
So move.
Motion made by Commissioner Combs, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Hammond. No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll go to 1.7, discuss and consider approving resale offer submitted by Jimmy W. Smith and Shirley A. Smith for $10,000, parcel 3059, Chambers County, versus unknown heirs of the estate of L. Webb Senior, deceased, cause number CV 21544. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is also not 100% bid. It is 36.45% of the taxes, but we can see on the analysis what is paid off. Now, this parcel, there are several accounts also that have an interest. Mr. Smith, the bidder, is already owns 2 of the accounts on this, as well as, if you can see from the map, there's another parcel that's got some road frontage. He owns that already. So again, I'm not sure if his plan is to try to work with the owners on purchasing them, or eventually going to ask for a partition from the court. But he's aware of the situation and all the interests, and he's making his bid, and we do recommend that the county accept this bid as well.
Any questions or comments? Motion made by Commissioner Tynes,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Hammond. Okay, no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? No. Motion carries. And I think that's.
That is all I have. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Since Seth is here, Bill, if you want to, we'll go down to what number is he? Safety and Emergency Management, EMS 10.1. Okay, discuss and consider mass gathering permits for the following events to be held at Houston Raceway Park: Real Deal Camp Out and Trail Ride, 9/29, 24, 9/25, and 21. Cletus and Carr, Texas, 10/2/21. McLeod Fest, 10/3/21. Import Face-Offs, 10/10/21. October Truck Madness, 10/16/21. Freaky Deaky Music Festival, 10/28 through the 30th of 21. And Magical Winter Light Holiday Festival, 11/19 through the 21st of 01, 1 of 05 of 22. Okay. Commissioner Ryan, anyone have any comments on this, or Seth?
Sure, yeah. Is it on? We got, it's already on. Okay, so I went ahead and put them on here. Seth submitted these the other day. And last year, several of these types were exempted under the guidelines because we felt they met the guidelines. I talked to Mr. Combs about it. Car shows and small things like that were meant for the venues, and of course, as well as large races and things like that. So I think everyone was concerned about Freaky Deaky, and I know that there was some other stuff that they had been working on because y'all had hammered out this agreement that he sent over to the commissioner regarding that. So I don't know, Seth, do you have anything you want to?
Thanks, Ryan. Seth Angel, Houston Raceway Park. Look, we've submitted these mass gathering permits as required, and I'll just tell you that all these events take place within the existing and utilize the infrastructure that we have at the park. We've been in business for over 30 years. This is what we do. We are very selective with the groups and the sponsors and promoters that we bring into the facility and host. And we are obviously very aware that we operate under this agreement that was produced after the result of Freaky Deaky in 2019. And so we are prepared to live under that agreement and conduct ourselves under that agreement moving forward for not only Freaky Deaky, but all the events that we do. We want to be good neighbors and good community citizens. So if there's any specific questions as to the types of events that we're hosting or what we're doing, I'm happy to answer those.
Anyone have any questions or comments for Seth?
No, I might remind the court and everyone that after Freaky Deaky 2019, there was some pretty tense negotiations that took place. And out of that, we came up with a agreement that, that would limit the noise decibels to 85. And it does have some pretty stiff penalties and fees in it. Be happy to furnish a copy to anybody that wants to look at it. But, we did that exactly for this occasion so that they could do their venues. And, as long as they live within that agreement, everybody should be fine. So
The only last comment I'll add is that I received several invoices from the fire marshal after submitting these permits, and which are the first of the kind that we've ever received. We've never received an invoice for fire. And I think it's our position that all these events are exempt. We are not setting up in a field. We're utilizing existing infrastructure, utilities, bathrooms, you name it. And so we've got a track record that shows that we provide adequate security, adequate fire and rescue and safety for all of our guests and staff. And so we think they should be exempt, and there should be no invoice for fire marshal.
Okay. Anybody got any comments on that?
Right. Yes, there were. And last year we didn't have the system wasn't fully up and running on the electronic system. So there were invoices generated for the same types of things that we intended to exempt anyway. So it's not a problem at all not to do that, because if someone applies and something meets an exemption, there shouldn't be a fee associated with it. Okay. So those were all sent out, and now going back researching, looking in there, they're exempted. Some things that should be exempted. So yeah, I don't have a problem at all. That was instituted in 2020, May of 2020, but the things that they did out there for the rain of the year, car shows and things, and I was able. That's what's good about the system. I was able to look up and see what we did last time, and so now we can be consistent with that.
Well, even before, like you pointed out earlier, we did not have a fee along with the permit.
Correct.
That was just implemented last year.
That was implemented May 2020.
Okay. You spoke with the sheriff on all these events and everything.
I sent it over to them so they would know. I haven't received any concerns back about any of them. I made sure they remembered about the noise agreement and all that. So I don't anticipate any issues. He's right. We've never. I think the noise issue was the only thing but they have all their facilities have sanitation, and they have built-in food vending and everything like that. So,
Seth, would you tell us how you're going to control the noise on Freaky Deaky this time?
Thanks, Commissioner. Yeah, it's obviously a very sensitive topic and subject for us and for the promoter. The promoter, as you guys are aware, is DDP worldwide. They host these large festivals all across the country. And so our agreement with them is joined with this agreement that we have with you guys here in the county. They're very aware, and they very much understand how to control the noise. The setup will be radically different than what it was in 2019 to help mitigate some of the discharge of some of the low line bass and the top line A line that was projecting outside our facility and obviously north of the decibel limit. So the sheriff will have tools to monitor the noise. We'll be in constant communication with them, with the promoter at all times. They're very aware of the penalties and the fines that are associated with such infractions. And, the agreement clearly spells out that if we do not adhere to these rules, then we're subject to penalties and obviously reduction in the event and possibly even shut down of the event, which we tend not to do.
Right, thank you.
Thank you, Seth.
Are they louder than the Nationals?
Well, it's great question. No, but it's a longer length of time, obviously.
Right, yeah, of course.
A top fuel tracks are running at 300 miles an hour, 10,000 horsepower for 3 seconds, a little different than a constant bass that's booming miles away
Right,
from the
it's
facility.
that base that got.
Right, the base that got them. Yeah, so I'm probably about 6 or 7 miles from the racetrack. Now, I can always hear the Nationals sitting out in the shop, running. So not a bad thing. It's pretty cool to listen to.
And then I'll just add the Magical Winter Lights Festival is new. We haven't announced it yet, but just to give you a little context about that, it is a holiday themed show, light show. It'll feature over 6 million lights. It'll sit on 20 acres on the east side of our property. The sponsor and promoter has done this for over 6 years at other venues in Houston. It'll attract anywhere from 150 to 200,000 guests over a 52-day run. That'll run consecutive days starting November 19th. Guests come park and they walk into the attractions. And there's some different entertainment and different features and themes that kind of feature the holiday theme throughout the park. There'll be a carnival section, food and beverage side of it. But we're really looking forward to it and glad to have it in Chambers County. So more details on that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Do I have any more comments or questions? I'll entertain a motion to either approve all or part of these.
Make a motion.
Yeah, Commissioner Hammond makes a motion to approve. Second by Commissioner Tice. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Any nays? Motion carries. Okay, we'll move on. We'll go ahead and get 10.2. Thank you, Seth.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate
Have a
it.
good weekend.
10.2, discuss and consider approving payment and release agreement between Old River Wintry Volunteer Fire Department and Chambers County with the county making check payable to the Texas Forestry Service in the amount of $8,876. I don't see Ron here. I'm figuring Tommy can take this.
Yeah, I'll give you a little bit on that. So I assume everybody knows by now the Old River Volunteer Fire Department is shutting down. So through all the legal proceedings of trying to get them shut down and moved out of the building and stuff, they come find out they had a loan through the Forestry Service to either modify their building or expand their building. They neglected to pay that bill. So just not sure what our legal recourse is going down the road, but just to get this thing wrapped up, we need to go ahead and pay the bill. And then we'll look at if we want to do any legal action against the fire department down the road, which I don't think it's gonna amount to. It's not gonna produce anything.
If
So
it's not paid, they could put a lien against our property.
yeah, that's right.
Ashley, have you went through this?
I've talked with Ron about it and I think it's better to just pay it. I think we would spend more money in legal fees and maybe not even get anything. So,
Okay, do we have an agreement that we signed and the county signed with them and or their fire chief or whoever to release it?
There's one in here.
Yeah.
I think
Okay,
Ron did
you're
all
fine with
that.
that?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's in there. They didn't pay the note in
19?
19.
I think so.
I think they didn't make the payment and apparently 20. I don't know when the payment was due, but they don't have any funds.
Right.
So it's just,
Okay.
just need to make a wash out of it and move on.
We don't have any more questions or comments. I entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Hammond, seconded by Commissioner Combs. Okay, no further discussion. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Try to get them out of the building by the end of the month so they can have Founder's Day over there. So,
Okay, we'll go back to 1.8, discuss and consider approving a cooperative agreement between Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service and Chambers County. Commissioner Combs.
I've got Dave in the waiting room.
Yeah, go ahead and bring Megan in. Well, while you're trying to get her in, this is really just a clarification of an agreement that we currently already have in place.
Okay.
It's not changing anything. It's just more or less spelling out the current agreement that we're working under. The numbers, there's no actual dollars amount in there. It just clarifies who's paying what the A&M is furnishing and what the county is furnishing.
Okay.
So, and Ashley, I think you've had a chance to look at this. You were copied on the email.
Yes, sir,
so-
then I have.
Okay.
I look at a lot of stuff. Sorry.
I understand. I know you do.
Yes, sir.
Is Megan in?
She's up there. Megan, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Have any comment?
Yes, that's just, AgriLife has put that out. We've never had anything, in writing, the, agreement between the county and AgriLife. It's just stating that AgriLife is not taking anything from the county, basically, that y'all still support me, and then they give us the education that we need and resources that we need to come back and do everything in the county. But it's basically what's already been done for many, many years, but they're just actually putting it in writing for the first time.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tynes. Other comments or questions? Entertain a motion to approve.
I already made.
Yeah.
Coach is
All
calling
in
for
favor? Motion carried. Thank you, Megan.
thanks,
Thank
Megan.
you.
Number 1.9, discuss and consider naming the new West Side Complex and baseball field in honor of D.W. Don McLeod, Gordon Spears, Andrew Laney, A.N. Boots Nelson Jr., and Paul Williams, respectively. This is a new West Side Complex, and we will be naming the fields and complexes and stuff after. I think this one here was Commissioner Combs and Hammond.
No, I think the judge came up with.
Yeah, this was mine and I didn't
I can
have
speak
that.
to
Was yours?
Y'all want me to speak to it?
Okay.
Wait.
Samantha?
So the judge and I talked, and it's his goal to eventually name pretty much most of our facilities in Chambers County after influential Chambers County residents, both past and present. The current McLeod Park was the brainchild of the four gentlemen that the fields are being named after: Gordon Spear, Andrew Laney, Boots Nelson, and Paul Williams. And so the judge would like to recognize those four gentlemen for their hard work in establishing the current McLeod Park. And then former Commissioner Don McLeod was also instrumental in that. He was a big supporter of establishing that park. So since we're transferring the facilities to the new West Side Complex, he wants to honor those gentlemen for their work.
Okay.
Perfect. I think some of these gentlemen actually donated some of the land for the right of way and stuff getting into it.
Yes, sir. So the four gentlemen that the fields are being named after were in partnership. Several of them, Andrew Laney, for example, was the attorney that went, it was undivided interest at the time, the original plot of land, and Andrew Laney went and did several months worth of work getting all of those property owners to relinquish their rights so that they could purchase it. And I believe it was like a 300-acre tract, and they donated 30 acres of that and then went forward, like you said, in purchasing the right of way to get access to that facility. So they worked really hard in getting that original piece of land donated. I spoke to Mr. Spear, and he said that at the time there was little to no recreational space on the west side of Chambers County for youth. And so that was really important to them. So we just want to honor that. And I know that you guys are just as dedicated as they were to making sure that youth have safe play spaces. So we're just going to honor their hard work on that.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Tynes, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Hammond. No further conversation. All in favor? Yes, okay, motion carries. 1.10, discuss and consider naming a new West Side Community Building in honor of the late Commissioner H.H. Max McCullum Community Building.
So again, I'll talk about this one. There are some resolutions that'll be on court eventually. We'd like to recognize the family members of the people who aren't with us anymore and the people who are living. But Mac McCullum was commissioner. I felt like I was writing a research paper when I was writing the resolution on this for decades. And he was instrumental in establishing and shaping Chambers County into what we now know it to be. And he was also instrumental and a huge supporter of the establishment of that original McLeod Park. And so the judge felt that naming this new community building after him would be a great honor.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion.
Mr. Combs, seconded by Commissioner Hammond. No further, all in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Number 1.11, discuss and consider naming a new Fort Anahuac Park Sports Complex and baseball field in honor of Jim Silva, David Bubba Abernathy, Ben Nelson, Sarah Cerrone, and Eric Humphrey, respectively.
So again, we tried to look at people in this community who were very big supporters of the youth, of outdoor recreation, of the natural resources that we have here in Central Chambers County. Obviously, Jim Silva was an amazing person who dedicated his entire life to developing facilities for the youth, maintaining them, and was just a huge advocate for young people. And so the judge and I and Commissioner Gore, we all kind of talked and felt that it would just be appropriate to name the entire sports complex after Jim because he dedicated so much time to that. And then we tried to talk about some local people who, again, spent a lot of time and a lot of effort to providing places for kids to play, protecting the natural wildlife and ecosystem. And we came up with, obviously, Commissioner Abernathy, Ben Nelson, Sarah Cerrone, and Eric Humphrey. You guys know Commissioner Abernathy, you knew Ben, or you knew Commissioner Abernathy, you knew Ben, you knew Sarah. Eric Humphrey is the principal here at the high school. He's a wonderful person. He does a lot behind the scenes to help kids, especially kids who are kind of at risk. He's from Chambers County. He's worked at Anahuac ISD for
He was an ag teacher for a while too.
He was an ag teacher. He was my 5th grade principal, and then he moved to high school when I started my freshman year. So to date myself, I guess I would have been 10 at the time. I mean, so he's been principal for 20 years here, and he's just done a lot for the people, for the kids of this community. And especially he's got a soft spot for those kids that are kind of at risk. And we all know that sports programs are so essential to getting kids that are at risk out of unsafe environments and to giving them an opportunity to develop. So I just thought it would be really appropriate for him to be honored with this.
Okay, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Ty, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Hammond. Conversation, roll. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay. Thank you.
I have a whole page. Do you want to go through the rest and then come
Yeah,
back?
I will. I'm gonna hit these here, and then there'll be almost time for Aaron to do the budget. So-
Hey, that's fine with me. I probably should have called my own court meeting with my literal 20 items that I have. Sorry, y'all. I'll be back.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do 1.12, discuss and consider designating 2 elected officials and representatives and 2 elected officials as alternates to the 2022 Houston Galveston Area Council, General Assembly, and Board of Directors. Aaron, did we already have a list on that? Or?
Yeah, it's in the package.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's that thing not working.
I agree with this 100%.
I don't know if I do.
I'll make a motion.
Well, no, actually, right now, as far as for the board of directors for the HGAC, I think, Mark, you currently are sitting in that position. And I am currently sitting on the TPC, the TAC, and the tax subcommittee, and 1 or 2 other ones, as well as the Gulf Coast Protection District. And quite frankly,
It's a lot.
it's a lot.
It's a lot. Bro.
Yeah, and I think Commissioner Hammond and Commissioner Tice would be great either one for this position. It is a very important position. I agree. And it needs to be worked, but I'm swamped.
Okay, so Commissioner Hammond or Tyus,
I would consider the alternate. I don't think I'm seasoned enough to.
I jumped in both feet.
swimming up the stream like a trout.
Right.
It's not that
He said it's not that bad.
Well, I think Commissioner Tice, we just move you up one and I can fill that void right there.
Representative of the General Assembly.
Same thing.
Okay,
What do you think?
Mark, he was saying move you to Representative Hammond to here. Is that, I'm asking Mark, I'm just saying that's what Commissioner Hammond was recommending.
Hammond needs to get busted in like I did.
All right, put me up there.
We are going to
I ain't scared.
Representative General Assembly and Delegate Board of Directors, remove Commissioner Combs and put Commissioner Hammond in that spot.
I'll back you up.
And Commissioner Tice is the alternate. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice.
Billy, Tommy did second.
You was jumping on it. or what?
I jumped on that second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. I'm gonna go back up here to 1.3. Aaron, we'll start there. By the time we get up there, we'll be ready for you 10:30. 1.3 does discuss and consider setting 2022 elected official salaries. Mr. Aaron.
Good morning. Yes, so this is where we actually officially set the salaries. The last time y'all set the proposed salaries, now we're setting the official salaries. 3.5% across the board. A little different with the sheriff, he got a little bit extra, and then the constable got an extra 2,500 times 3.5%.
And we have some stipends in there.
And some stipends in there too.
Okay.
So yeah, so what I'll do is I'll send letters to elected officials, 5 days to agree their salary if they choose to do so. And then if that happens, we'll start something different. So hopefully nothing happens.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Who else got
Yeah, so it
above the
was,
3.5?
it was the sheriff
Sheriff
and the constables.
Heather and Pam?
And then we increased the clerk's stipends by $10,000.
Okay.
Okay. I'll move for approval. Motion made by Commissioner Combs, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Hammond. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carries. We're going to go to 1.1. Discuss and consider setting the proposal 2021 tax rate at 0.539490 per 100. Aaron.
Yes, sir. So this is to set the proposed tax rate at our current tax rate, which is well below our effective tax rate, which is 0.60. So what we'll do here is we'll set the proposed tax rate, set the public hearing, and the next court have the public hearing and then adopt the tax rate. And then we'll send this, after y'all approve it, we'll send this to the papers and just follow that process.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Hammond, seconded by Commissioner Tice. Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's see, we got until
No,
10:30.
it's not a public hearing.
Yeah, it's just
setting
setting
it for the September 28th. So you can go to 1.2. It's not a public hearing, it's setting one for the 28th.
Okay. Okay, 1.2, discuss and consider setting a public hearing for 2021 tax rate on September 28th, 2021 at 10:30 a.m.
I just ask for y'all to approve
Okay,
it.
I'll make a motion. Yes, sir.
I'll second. Very much, Commissioner Hammond, seconded by Commissioner Combs. All right, no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Aaron. I think we've completed the first page.
What? Got a little bit of third page.
Yeah. Okay.
About 40 pages.
Austin, on financial, is Tony in the room? Were you covering that, Aaron, or what?
Tony's not in there.
Okay,
I can talk about it.
okay, just financials 2.1, discuss and consider Hurricane Ike projects closeout status and deadline. Mr. Aaron.
So FEMA's trying to get this all closed out for Hurricane Ike projects. So they're gonna send a letter and we'll have about 30 days to complete all the remaining projects. So there's about 8 projects that are still open and that's what I've been working on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5, I got about 4 or 5 that should be good to go. The others are gonna be a little more complicated, just finding the old documentation to those projects since they're about 20 years old. But that's what I'm working on to get all this done so we can close out all these projects. So I think there's more projects on that letter that are actually completed and they just need final closeouts. So hopefully I could be officially done in about a month and we'll have all that settled.
So do we owe like $452,000?
So if you look at the projects, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, items 9 through 14.
Yeah, there's 6 projects that have receivables there that adds up to the 452. But we do expect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 projects that we are expecting to receive money back. So our goal is to at least do a pretty good offset of what we actually owe back to FEMA. So the goal is just to either break even or to receive some back. Because I know, like, I don't know if you can tell, like the Oak Island project, the Oak Island VFD, we're to receive $686,000 back from the state. But they won't officially close all these out and we won't get all that done until all the projects are officially completed or being closed out.
So you foresee us actually getting some money?
Either money back, well, my goal was to be some money back or just
Break even.
offset,
Wash.
yeah. 'Cause there's one project that's gonna be, I think maybe a problem. But I have to dig through it and talk to them and see if we can resolve it.
When do you think we'll have all the projects wrapped up, be able to finalize this?
I've sent about 5 of them already to the state, so I have about 3 more left to send out to them. So hopefully by next week, I'm gonna work on today, and then hopefully in this week I'll try to get the rest of them out there to them.
Is this for information only or?
It's FYI.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone ever have any other questions for Mr. Aaron? No? Okay. Well, thank you, Aaron. We can catch, Corey's not gonna be ready till 11, so we can catch 3.1. I think that's Ashley, Road and Bridge, discuss, consider acknowledgement of Texas material acquisition of Angel Brothers and providing consent for Angel Brothers to assign certain projects to the Texas material base on that acquisition.
Yes, sir. And this may have really been better for the consent agenda, but basically, Texas Materials has bought parts of Angel Brothers. And so they are moving certain contracts over to Texas Materials. Texas Materials has posted the same bonds that Angel Brothers had, as well as the same insurance, so it should be good. They just need acknowledgement of that sale and consent to transfer those, I think there are 2 projects to transfer those over.
I will point out that they have an error on both of their performance bonds.
Okay.
They list their office as Harris County and as Chambers.
Okay.
The other parts of it show Chambers, but that particular and both of the ones on page 163 and 166 is
I'll make sure that.
just a little
Yes, sir.
typo error.
I'm glad you saw that. Okay, thanks.
We'll,
Good eye, Bill.
Yes.
Yeah, I was only 160 pages into that one time. I was still awake.
Okay, entertain a motion to.
Make a move.
Motion by Commissioner Hammond, second by Commissioner Combs. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Let's get past Corey. Go down here. Samantha still out there?
Yes, sir.
All right, economic development and tourism. 5.1, discuss and consider authorizing amending the fiscal year 21 TxDOT ramp grant contract for Winnie Airport for $50,000 to $68,000 to cover additional costs incurred. Samantha.
Okay, so last time, is this on? No, it's not. Okay, last time we were here, we talked about amending the Anahuac ramp grant to cover additional invoices. At the time, we thought that what we had for Winnie would be sufficient. Paige has worked so hard on this, and she ended up finding some more invoices that were eligible for reimbursement. So we're asking you guys to allow us to amend the grant to $68,000 instead of $50,000. It's a 50-50 match. But the way I see it, if we can offset some of the county's cost, it's a good deal.
Any comments or questions for Samantha? Entertain a motion.
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Tyne, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Hammond. No further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carries. We're at 5.2. Discuss and consider approving fiscal year 22 TxDOT ramp grant contract for Anahuac Airport in the amount of $100,000, which is a 50-50 match.
So it's the same exact grant, but it's for fiscal year 2022. So that actually started September 1. They've approved us the maximum $100,000, which is $50,000 for the county, $50,000 for them, total of $100,000 for the project. TxDOT's super easy to work with. And every year we pretty much have to increase what we ask for. So I say we go ahead and go for the 100,000. It doesn't commit us to spending $50,000. It's a reimbursement grant. So it's only up to what we spend, then we submit for reimbursement. So I think we go ahead and go for the maximum on Anahuac.
They're not on a year-to-year date like we are. You said September?
No, they're on they go September to, I'm sorry, it's October 1st, not September 1st, October 1st to September 30th.
Does anybody know that we typically spend more than what we're getting our 50% reimbursement on?
So in the past, we have had to increase. We've asked for smaller amounts. I think it started out with only like $15,000 for Winnie and 20 for Anahuac, and we've slowly inched up over the years. The nice thing has been that they're easy to work with. So if we overspend our amount, they've been willing to increase it, but this way we'd be at the maximum. I think there are some activities that aren't eligible expenses, and so we do go over. We do spend money that's not reimbursable, at least 50%. But like I said, this is a really good program to be a part of because there is a lot. And I know that Ronnie Joe had wanted to do some improvements to some of the runways and facilities like that. And those activities are eligible under this grant. So it'd be a good time to get them done.
Just need to see if we're budgeted for 50,000.
I believe we are. Yes, sir.
I think we are on Anahuac one. We need to check with Aaron on the.
Yeah.
I believe we are because I'd sent an email to the judge about a month ago when we started talking about this next year and asked him. I always kind of start with him before I put it on court just to make sure it's something that you guys would even want to talk about. I don't want to waste your time. And he emailed Aaron and asked him to put it in there, but I'll certainly double check.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Commissioner Hammond is seconded by Combs. Okay. That all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. We go to 5.3, discuss and consider approving fiscal year 22 TxDOT ramp grant contract for Winnie Airport in an amount of $100,000, 50-50 match.
So this is the exact same thing for Winnie. We're going to go for the maximum. If we spend it, we do. If we don't, we don't. But this way, we're not doing an amendment at the end of the year like we've had to do.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tyne, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Hammond. No further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carries. 5.4, discuss and consider allowing Texas A&M Corpus Christi to install a sea level monitoring well at McCullum Park in Beach City. I think this here was on the court or so here recently.
Was that
Yes,
the
sir.
same one?
It's similar. It's a similar thing. This is something that Commissioner Combs and Kirk and myself and former Commissioner Snack have worked on with the lady that submitted the proposal.
Yeah, actually, I don't think this is the same. We had one on court last court, but it wasn't a seawater monitoring. It was a
Groundwater.
Yeah.
no, it was a sonar or
Oh, the sonar thing.
yeah. sonar thing.
This here's for wave action.
And this will be monitoring the rise of, is supposedly monitoring the rise of the seawater and what influence that might have on on-site sewer facilities. And anyhow, a lot of details in here. She put a really good package together.
She did.
You know, boring a 2-inch hole is what it is. I don't have a problem with it. Kurt's worked on it, and he was going to give them a location. We were going to put it very close to the same location that the other little instrument's been set at, so they both be about the same area.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Motion by.
Actually, this does not require power.
Oh, it doesn't?
No.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Combs, seconded by Tice. For discussion, all in favor? Any nays? Okay, motion carried. We'll go to 5.5. Discuss and consider approving request for $3,000 in hot funds, hotel occupancy funds for the Winnie Stowe Positive Action Committee for a mural project at Gregory Park. Samantha.
So I want to speak about this for a second, but then I'm going to ask you guys to table it. I don't think we have sufficient information for you guys to make a decision today. This is a community action committee made up of several people from the Winnie Stowe area. They want to paint 2 murals on the bathroom facility at Gregory Park. What we've been told is one will be a historical scene and the other will be some sort of positive community interaction type scene. At this time, they don't have an official quote. They haven't selected the artist who's going to paint these murals. And I would feel more comfortable if we waited to award funds until we knew what it was going to cost them, just because realistically, it's more than likely going to be more than $3,000, but I don't feel comfortable asking you guys to give them $3,000 without knowing that that's what it's going to cost.
This came up. First, they wanted to come into murals, and we asked that we get a policy in place before they do.
Yes, sir.
And we were told then that it's going to be no cost or anything to the county. When did that change?
They approached me several months ago asking if they could possibly apply for hot funds because they'd heard that the historical commission over here had utilized hot funds for some murals or some art projects like that. And I'm just kind of the steward of the hot fund program. And I said, we can put it on court and see what they say. And it's been a challenge to get the information. I'll say that. We've had to communicate back and forth quite a bit because I think they were still in the decision-making process, and I think they still are. I was not aware of that conversation. Like I said, they came to me and asked if they could submit an application. And as a general rule, I don't say yes or no. Well, I mean, I say whatever you want to do. It's not my decision to make when it comes to that. I try to leave that up to you guys and make the best recommendation I can with the information that I had. She certainly had, the lady that I spoke to, I'm not sure if she knew that, but she did not tell me that they presented it as a no cost.
Well, am I the only one that remembered it as no cost?
I remember being no cost.
Okay, I'll pass that information along to them. And then I'll also let them know that we need more information. Robbie has been working on this, and she did let them know that we needed that information before court. We didn't receive it, so that's why I think we should table it.
Okay. 5.5 going to be tabled. We'll move on to 5.6. Discuss and consider resolution adopting civil rights and fair housing policies in connection with the county's participation in federal fund project associated with the American Rescue Plan Act, Coronavirus Local Physical Recovery Fund, ARPA, CLFRF.
We're actually gonna, this one needs to be stricken from the record. We did this last court. It was just an error that it was put back on our part. Yeah, we're gonna pull that one, and we're gonna pull 5.7, same exact thing. We took care of it last court and we accidentally resubmitted it.
I had deja vu.
Just because I'm always here talking to y'all about all this stuff, it all blends together for me too.
Copy and paste will get you.
I know.
24, 5, 6, and 5, 7 will be pulled. We'll move on to 5.8. Discuss and consider Chambers County Recovery Plan associated with the American Rescue Plan Act, Coronavirus Local Physical Recovery Fund.
So Michael Migo from Public Management's here to answer any questions that you guys have. You've all seen pretty much the final plan. It's on your packet, and we've talked about it at length. There's no surprises in there. There are some items in there that may change a little bit. I think we've kind of gone back and forth on whether or not we're going to use the ARPA funds for the temporary jail facility. We've kind of discussed some ways that we may use the funds to help TBCD out. So some things may look a little bit different, but it's pretty much exactly what we've talked about this entire time.
I know the judge had mentioned about coming up with a application process for the facility, hospital facilities around. I mean, have we moved forward on any of that?
We're working on it. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. So there's some other facilities, other organizations that have done similar stuff that we're working on kind of compiling that into, but that's a big part of it. There are a couple projects that we're going to move pretty quickly on. The document restoration and scanning, that's probably going to be the first thing that we get done. We need to move forward on getting that new cell at the landfill. I totally blanked on the word for a second, but most of the projects in there are going to take 24 to 36 months to do. So once we get this approved, we're going to move pretty quick on some things.
Okay, so I mean, if we approve this list here, it does have the jail and stuff in there.
Yeah.
Do we have to have a list that specifies other stuff? Is there something that we're missing on this list?
Mm-mm.
We're not.
No, and if say we get 6 months down the road and we say, you know what, this project has come up and it's an eligible expense under ARPA and we really need to use those funds, we'll come back and amend it.
Okay.
I mean, this isn't tying us to do any of these projects necessarily. It's just kind of outlining that this is what we intend to do with it. This is not a requirement by the Treasury. We just think that it's the best thing that we can possibly do for documentation purposes. Like I've said the whole time, this is such a wide open program, and they will come back eventually and ask us why we made decisions the way we did. And it's better to have way more documentation than you need.
One thing I want to point out, one of the exhibits, and it's actually on page 279.
Okay.
It's the one that's like a Google Earth photo. It's got the little logo showing the different projects.
Sure.
Legend to the side. That map does not match the projects that are actually on their list.
Okay, that may be an antiquated map.
Yeah, I think it probably is, because it has the West Side Project on it, and different things. It just doesn't match.
Okay, the West Side Project is on there because one of the things that were included was running internet to there.
Oh, that's right, it was. Wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Anyhow, look at it. There's other stuff that I.
Yeah, no,
didn't-
we'll
I
double
didn't
check
see
it.
That was on there. So.
Let us double check it. Some of the things that don't have a physical location won't be listed on the map just because there's no physical location.
Okay.
But that is, we did include running the.
Yeah, I do. I recall that now.
Yeah, we figured, hey, if we can use this money to offset some of the cost for that, it's better for everybody. So.
I agree. Okay, I will entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Hammond, seconded by
I'll second.
Commissioner Combs. All right, no further discussion, all in favor? Any nays? Motion carries. Move to 5.9, discuss and consider resolution authorizing the approval of Chambers County Recovery Plan.
Yeah.
Sorry, I talked the whole time. I didn't even let you talk.
Oh, no, it's okay.
So this is Michael. Patrick is obviously always available to us and will remain available to us, but Michael is kind of our project manager, our first point of contact. So it's good for you guys to get to know him, see his face. Well,
Actually, state your name for the record.
Michael Mago.
Okay.
Yeah, so this item is just a resolution approving the recovery plan that we just discussed on the previous item. The recovery plan, kind of what Sam was talking about, is not a requirement for the county to pass. It's mainly just being transparent with these funds and showing the community, we got $8.5 million. Here's how we're going to spend them. It also helps down the line, as Sam had talked about, when the Treasury Department comes back and
has some level of retroactive auditing, being able to show, us as a county have thought about how we want to spend these dollars, and we approve this as a governing body. So
We see any future funds coming down the pipe?
Not through this particular avenue. There are some funds coming down for broadband in particular, some additional infrastructure funds coming down. And Michael is really the expert on that. So
Good.
he watches it, he keeps me in the loop and does a good job for us.
Great, appreciate it. Any questions, commissioners?
None for me.
Entertain a motion? Colin made the motion, second. No further discussion, all in favor?
We gotta sleep.
I'm in, I'm all in.
Motion carries. Okay.
So the last one I have is 5:15. If y'all want to do that,
I
and be
want to-
done with me for the day.
You bet.
trying to think at the same
5.15,
time.
discussing, consider rejecting all bids received from the GLO CDBG DR Hancomer wastewater treatment plant contract 20-065-007 6C010 for construction of a 0.3 MGD wastewater treatment plant.
Can you imagine having to look at those numbers all day, every day?
All day.
They blend together. So this was the second time we've bid for materials, and what we're having an issue with, as is everybody, and I've talked about it the last time I was here too, is prices are just so outrageous right now for materials. And so we rebid hoping to get lower prices. We did. They were still about $400,000 above the budget. That is not why we're rebidding. We are rebidding because one of the companies, the low bidder, actually did not do the non-collusion affidavit. It was an error that wasn't specifically laid out in the directions to bidders. It was included in the packet, but it wasn't specifically mentioned. So we kind of talked about it, and because they were so much lower, we talked about potentially allowing that, since that's just a county regulation, it's not a federal regulation. But the other bidders said that they would protest. And so just to avoid any drama, any questions about legality or appropriateness, we're going to reject these bids and rebid again. And we're hoping third time's the charm. Now, that being said, just kind of to make you guys aware of this, we are expecting to have a several $100,000 overage. And I kind of alluded to that when we talked about the American Rescue Act. We did kind of talk about maybe setting aside some funds for TBCD, a couple $100,000. And the way that the American Rescue plan is written, we can do that with those funds if we need to assist them. So that's in there as well. So just kind of making you guys aware of that possibility. It's, you guys know you're looking at projects every day. The prices are just insane right now for everything.
Yeah.
What entity controls that Hancomer wastewater district? Are they just
So-
an independent company or?
TBCD.
Okay, they're in the Trinity Bay.
Yep. So this project, it seems like it's been going on for 10 years at this point. It's a Harvey project. We received a direct allocation after Harvey through CDBG disaster recovery funds. And it's not a huge amount. It sounds big when you say $3 million, but when you get into the nitty gritty of looking at eligible projects, it's just not. And so back in 2019, when we started looking at how we were going to utilize these funds, we looked at drainage projects, and to do drainage right, you're talking multiple millions of dollars for 2 or 3 blocks of road. We just didn't have the funds to do any of the drainage projects that needed to be done. But this was something that we knew needed to be done because the existing wastewater treatment plant in Hancomer is a wetland system, which is antiquated now. It was built in 2002, and it flooded during Hurricane Harvey, and untreated wastewater got into the watershed there. So that's where people get their drinking water. And it was an eligible project, and it was something that needed to be done. Now, over the past 2 years, we've had quite a bit of change in the scope. It was going to be a much larger plant. TBCD didn't want to put in the money to do that larger plant. We've scaled it back now. The thing is, and James and I had this conversation yesterday, it's absolutely a necessity that they get this plant done because of the growth in Mid-Chambers County. Mm-hmm. And so the existing plant is very nearly no longer able to support the homes in that area. This will help them to do that. And it's obviously something that's worthwhile. It's just, we've run into quite a few snags along the way with COVID and then natural disasters and all of the things that have contributed to increasing prices. So ultimately, TVCD will be the owner of this program. It's what we call a pass-through grant. So they were not eligible to receive funding on their own or apply for funding. We received this funding that was an eligible activity. We agreed to do a pass-through grant. So unless we end up giving them a couple $100,000 to cover the overage, there's no cost to us. They're supposed to put up the extra cost. Again, that was not foreseeing the rise in prices for things, so they'll own it. We won't have anything to do with it. Once it's completed, we sign it over to them and we're done.
So are we just driving this whole project because their lack of response and lack of ownership? So, I mean, honestly,
it's been a whirlwind, I'll tell you. It's been a lot of back and forth. Like I said, the reason that the project was started was because they were not eligible to receive funding on their own. And that was a project that needed to be done, but it's been a whirlwind. It's been a ride.
We looked at several projects, drainage projects here in town.
Work Street in particular.
Yeah, and the money, and we were $3 or $4 million short. And this fit the budget, quote unquote, which COVID done away with that. So.
Right. So allocations are different. This is the last direct allocation that we've had, although we expect to receive another one here pretty soon. Direct allocations work a little bit differently because you don't submit an application that's approved for a project before you get the money. They give you the money, say, okay, we're giving you $3 million. That's all we're giving you. And you have to find a project that meets their criteria in the LMI requirements, so on and so forth. And this was pretty much the only project that we came up with that was $3.4 million or less. Work Street drainage at the time was $6 million to do basically 2 blocks of drainage, to do it the right way, you know.
The LMI, it really.
Oh, it cripples us.
So I'd love for them to do away with that. We could do a lot more.
It cripples
And
us.
since the grant's coming through the county, we want to administer it.
Yeah.
there's no doubt about that. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
we're pulling the wagon and then we're gonna pay the.
I know. It does behoove
Yeah,
us to manage grants like this, especially if it's our money that we're giving to somebody. We have the knowledge, expertise, and management capacity. And so we can make sure that all the documentation is done appropriately. Because if it wasn't, they could come back and ask us for money back. The GLO could, so.
Right.
And I think Trinity Bay has changed where they can go out and receive their own funding now.
It depends on the funding mechanism. So for the CDBG mitigation fund, they did allow special districts to apply for their own funds. I think it's just going to depend on the mechanism, the program administrator, so on and so forth. It's definitely beneficial to everybody when they can do that because they have more control. We have less burden, so on and so forth. I guess kind of the best way to look at it with TVCD is it's the same taxpayers that are paying our taxes too. And so we're all working for the same people on this project.
If you don't mind, Judge, since she's here, she's got a couple of things on the consent agenda. And one of them, going along the same line, I just want to point out, don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to it. But like, for instance, the sidewalk project that we're doing with the city of Anahuac. Right. If there's any overruns on that or whatever, as the sponsor, we're responsible for those overruns.
So we put in our interlocal agreements that they're only going to pay, that will only pay what the grant covers.
So they would have to be.
They're responsible for overages. Yes, sir.
Because where grants written, we'll.
Yes, sir. So we do interlocals there to make sure that we're not responsible for any overages. And a similar reason to the reason that we're managing that grant is that they didn't have the management capacity, the time or the effort. And that particular situation, I'm sure you guys have noticed coming into town, the amount of kids that are walking to school here.
Don't get me wrong, the project's needed.
Yes, sir. I know.
I agree, it's needed.
I know. I remember as a little kid seeing another child get hit by a vehicle walking to school. And I'll tell you what, it'll scar you for life.
Yeah.
I was just pointing that out.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. As a general rule, I personally try to avoid projects like that just because it's a lot. But there are some situations where another organization just doesn't have the management capacity, and it's something that's necessary that would benefit our taxpayers, and we'll step up in situations like that.
Okay. I think Commissioner Hammond made a motion to reject all the bids for the.
Yes, I did.
Seconded by. Commissioner Combs.
Third time's the charm, right? We're gonna
Third
try.
time, yes, ma'am. All in favor? Any opposed, motion carries.
That now I have a couple things on consent. If anybody has any questions, I'm
Anybody have
happy.
questions for the consent? Nope. Okay. Oh, hang on, Commissioner.
I did on there. So it had something in there about 6-inch thick concrete for sidewalks. So I think that's a money grab. Yeah.
Is that their specs or?
It's the verbiage is in there. It's a different price.
Right. So TxDOT came back to us on that project and asked us to look at prices again for the area. And they established the concrete depth and told us to get prices for that. And I'm not sure.
That's overdoing it.
Okay, I'll bring that to them and let them know.
I think.
I don't know if that was a requirement, but when I was reading all that, it was kind of jumbled a little bit right there
Okay.
and it was all together.
I'm gonna look at it
But,
again.
yeah, and because there was some additional cost in there, like $100,000,
Right,
$130,000, some
Yeah.
additional cost.
right. Now that grant, just so y'all know, that grant is no cost to us. Like it's a 75-25% match, but we can use transportation credits for it. So we don't have to provide the match after all. The city doesn't have to provide the match. We don't have to provide the match. The state pays for the entire project unless there's an overage, like Commissioner Combs said, in which case City of Anahuac would be responsible for it. We generally try to avoid overages and we'll value engineer a project back within the eligibility of the grant to avoid that. Just because, it's supposed to be somewhat free money, but I will certainly look into that.
Yeah, we just, when you get the most,
Yeah, if you want to pull
Footage.
it, then you can, until I find the answer, and that's fine with me.
okay, I'll look at it again when I get
I
my.
don't think if we approved it, that this would.
It doesn't bind us to anything.
doesn't
No,
bind
it's not a
us.
contract. It's just the application. Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
I'm
So,
good.
but I will get that clarification and I'll let y'all know.
Okay.
Anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Manton.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Does anybody need a break?
Yes.
All right, we'll take a break.
I'm
I'm
Seven
exhausting,
minutes.
I know.
We'll come back at 11 o'clock. We will recess at 10:54 and be back at 11. Okay. Record court come back to order at 11:03. And we'll go ahead and jump down here to Parks and Restoration. 6.1, discuss and consider option for collecting a delinquent 2021 online auction youth livestock show buyers invoices in the amount of $365. Ms. Ashley.
Yes, sir. So I spoke with Vivian, and before I took office, Judge Peel's office did send out letters for delinquency. However, I can certainly send those out again. They're delinquent a total of $365. Some of them are small, like $25 or $100, but obviously we want people to stick to their commitment. So if you want to advise me to send out letters again, I can do that. But they have been sent already.
Anyone have any questions or comments on that from Ms. Ashley? Give her some guidance on what you want to do.
She's already sent out letters.
They did, right.
Your
They did
office?
before- My office did, but it was before I was in
Okay.
charge, so. I
You
can
send out
send it
letters on these?
Yes, sir.
On
We
our
will
packet?
send out on,
All right, y'all send them out again?
I can, yes, sir.
All righty, and then you want to wait and see if we have any response
Yes,
and then
sir.
before we bring it back to court?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, so we'll just pull it and then see if we need to put it back on at a
Yes,
later
sir.
date.
Perfect.
We're pulling 6.1.
Pull 6.1. Okay, is Corey in the waiting room?
No, he's not. I sent him the invite. Oh, he is in the way.
And we'll go back to Road and Bridge. If he's ready, we'll go to 3.2, discuss and consider the sale and or abandonment of a portion of the unimproved right of way of Shady Glen Drive at Oak Island as requested by Jeff Loomis. Corey.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
Morning.
Good morning.
Yes, so this is a property, we've been kind of going back and forth with property owner, and the county has no need for this, and this would basically be the best case scenario for this situation. Recommend approval.
Anyone have any questions or comments for Corey on this? I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
By Commissioner Ty, seconded by
Damon.
We were trying to wait.
Wake up. There's no more comments. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries. 3.3.
I just had to laugh because Jeff had to call the sheriff last week. Some guy went down there and put a pop tent up right away and was camping out.
Put a what?
A little pop tent.
Well, we could turn it into a park.
Yeah. 3.3, discuss and consider setting a public hearing for September 28th, 2021 for the sale and or abandonment of a portion of unimproved right of way for Shady Glen Drive in Oak Island as requested by Jeff Loomis. Entertain a motion?
So what's the question before we get there? What's the process there, Corey?
Well, we have to give the public an opportunity to, I guess, respond to this when we do it to the public. And then if there's no objections, then we can move forward with the abandonment.
Okay, and then after we abandon it, it gets appraised and then.
Right. And then you follow the process to ensure that, the county, the taxpayers are getting a good value for it.
Okay.
Okay, and the first offer is to the adjoining landowner, is that correct?
Right. Yes.
Okay. Entertain a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hammond, seconded by
I'll second.
Commissioner Combs. No more discussion. All in favor? No nays. Motion carries. We go to 3.4. Discuss and consider update on 1409 project. Corey.
So this is a good thing that we waited till Friday because I have some better updates. Right, Tommy? So we had a meeting yesterday, update meeting, and we've been working towards trying to get everything open. This week we actually got the south side open finally. I know that's a huge success to everybody. That will improve the safety for the Lanai, River Farms, those subdivisions down there that essentially, well, especially Lanai, that just gets had such a tough situation when I-10 issues happen and trucks try to take detours and think they're going to be able to pop out somewhere else and they get trapped in that subdivision. It's just a bad situation. So, and then the construction of River Farms, all that construction traffic going through there. So definitely a plus to get Southside open. Had some challenges trying to get TxDOT satisfied with where we were at, but we worked through those and like I said, got that open. We'd already had Perry and / Gill Parkway open to assist with school traffic. And then effective this afternoon, we'll be putting out a email that Churchill Downs is going to be open going forward. So they're working on that. I got a few pictures of that this morning and should be opening that up to the public, which will help also. I know it'll help Tommy, right?
Yes, sir.
So overall, on the overall project, and of course, the bridge construction has begun. They're working on all this, and that, in addition, this will help with the bridge construction. We'll be able to detour traffic around those jug handles now that they're open, and speed construction for the bridge towards getting that done. Maybe, it'll gain us a few weeks, which is going to be important when we get to the end of this job next year when school's beginning. So anyway, moving forward, the overall road to the north, we're anticipating being ready for TxDOT inspections mid to late October. Of course, we were, just as a reference point, I just want to point out that we were at that point at the end of June, the first part of July this year for the south side. We didn't end up with the inspection because of rain and different issues until mid-August, but then it took, we've basically taken a month in getting that corrected. So anyway, I would anticipate potentially mid-November as TxDOT maybe being satisfied and us finishing the punch list items and hopefully getting that open for the traveling public completely. So hopefully it goes quicker than that, but it's been a bit of a process. And certainly when we get to the whole project, we even have a few items on the south side, like the illumination and some of the grass and different things that TxDOT's going to be pushing for on the final completion. So we'll have to get them satisfied. Additional questions y'all have on this item?
Yeah, how's the crossing working out for Gill Parkway and 1405?
Except for the first day, I have heard no complaints on it at all. So I think it's going pretty well. We have had at least one issue that I'm aware of where somebody went through the barricades, went running down the job and ran into a piece of equipment. I don't know, fluids out of the vehicle ended up leaking on the pavement. It's going to take a pavement repair that's going to cost the county some money to get that repaired before we hand it over to TxDOT. But we're trying our best to keep barricades tight. We've added some concrete traffic barrier in at least one location to try to keep them off the pavement. But overall, I think it's going pretty well.
Other questions for Corey on that?
No, just comment, Corey, I appreciate all your effort. I know we was dealing with a storm on Tuesday and we was trying to open the south side of 1409. There's a lot going on right there, and then Corey stayed focused and push that through to get that done on Tuesday. So I just appreciate all your effort for that. So
thanks, Tommy. You're welcome.
Just FYI, okay, we'll move on to 3.5, discuss and consider approval of Needle Point Road overlay change order in the amount of $7,600 under the Cowboy Asphalt current contract. Corey.
Okay, so this is for doing the driveways, the additional driveways for HPP. Of course, they're the ones that's been doing the construction of the road subgrade, the ditches, the base. We've done the swap with them, which ultimately will be a huge, advantage for the traveling public to be able to utilize both, not just the southbound free passage of Needle Point, but for the first time in many, many years, be able to travel north up that route again. So they have gone through this, and they're getting really close. I think the wet weather this last weekend has caused a little bit of a delay, but they're anticipating handing that over to the county sometime the first part of October, I believe, for us to do the hot mix paving. We've already bid out the work. Cowboy Asphalt has that. As soon as we get permission to jump out there, we're going to do that. And so it has one main driveway coming in on the front. They are constructing some additional access points along the route and have asked us to go ahead and pick that up as a part of this this work. And so they have done a lot. They did go above and beyond, doing some work on the north side with drainage ditch. I'm not opposed to it, but I just wanted to bring it up and, get y'all's take on it and make sure it was good before moving forward.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Corey on that?
No, it sounds like we're getting a lot of benefit out of that. So the work they're doing.
No, it's been a two-way street on this. We've been having to work back and forth, both of us, county and them.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice. No further discussion. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Did we take care of 3.4?
Yep, that was FYI. Do you have anything on consent for Corey that anybody would like to ask about while we got him here? Starting at like 33.
I've got the change order on there for the ditch cleaning as well. We've completed $300,000 worth of ditch cleaning, and I think they've done an outstanding job at getting some ditches done throughout the county. And we've got an additional $100,000 available in our budget, and we'd like to push that forward. That'll get us a little over 51,000 additional feet of ditch done this calendar year. So I don't remember what item number that is.
It's on item number 34.
That might be one you want to,
Yeah,
but I have several items in there. Is any of them y'all have question on?
Yeah, I think Commissioner Combs has a question for you, Corey.
Yeah, Corey, actually, on item number 34, that would be the ditch cleaning.
Right.
Where are they going to be concentrating? Where's that 51,000 feet going to be?
This is mostly west side. So there's, I believe, up and down, the county roads coming off of 2354. There's some up in the Old River Winfrey area. There's a couple that Tommy has provided. So, the primary start of the contract, as discussed previously, was primarily over in the Winnie area based on the number of actual houses that flooded in that region. And so we were trying to take care of that first. So we've been able to, with the additional money that y'all gave me before, was able to move over to the west side and pretty much stayed over there for the last, I think, month, maybe a little bit longer. And like I said, we're going to continue that. We have another contract, just as an FYI, that we are putting together now. That's basically $500,000 worth of work that I think will come near completing everything that's on everybody's list before June, July of next year. And we hope to bid that going forward in the next month. Obviously, we're going to try to have that on the next court for y'all, but that's just as an FYI. But
You think we're gonna price per foot by continuing these contracts with them?
Yes. So I've been in their ear a little bit about trying to lower that down somewhat. So, obviously, the other bid was over $10 a foot, and this one's $1.95. So
I just remember that TxDOT has some stuff in the same area about the same time. They got it for a significant cost less than what we were doing ours for.
they did, and so that's what I'm talking to them about. So ultimately, we're still getting a pretty good deal, but I would like it to be a little bit lower.
Good job. I've got
So
Well, they're doing a great job. I just not very much in precinct 4.
we need to hook Commissioner Combs up.
Hey, so can we get the stuff in precinct 1 done, precinct 3 done first?
After you leave precinct
No,
2.
4.
No, I really think Billy needs some help over there,
so
Hey, we need to just,
I think I've asked for each of your hot lists, and we will definitely, I think the top 3 or 4 roadways that each of y'all have in one, as in 2, 3, and 4, we should be able to knock out for certain in each of these. And so,
I'll get
and
you
then,
something.
so
Scott,
We-
mine have been on the list for over 2 years now.
Hey, so seriously on
Save the
that,
best for last.
yeah, I'm seriously on that. I can go last. I'm okay with that. So mine aren't that bad.
Mine are, Corey.
Yeah. Okay,
all right.
Anybody have any other questions on any of this for Corey?
I had one for, number 37. Approve using road and bridge drainage equipment to clean additional Trinity Bay Conservation District easements.
Yes,
So
Right.
we've done quite a bit of that already, I believe.
we've done some.
Yeah, there was, well, yes and no. So if y'all remember back in May, y'all approved 5 locations. And we've essentially established, of that, probably about half of that workload. The remaining portion couldn't be done with our equipment. It requires a long stick hoe, which we elected not to get. So, by situations, I think with Trinity Bay talking about like on the easements over time, some, different things have happened where, fences have showed up and stuff like that, where you just can't go through there and do the work like we kind of anticipated. So you've got to kind of reach over things. So I think they're going to acquire some additional equipment, is my understanding, or look at that anyway, and kind of, kind of giving us free reign. So the areas that I have chosen are within the Trinity Bay Conservation District right of ways that we can work on that don't require the long stick. So we're going to do that. The very first section would be coming out of Anahuac, the ditch, the main ditch coming out of Anahuac that ties into Double Bio, is working that on down that area, which, kind of finishing what we started last year is what I'd like to do. And then there's several other little projects along the Double Bio that have tie-ins. Essentially, they're outfalls. These are outfalls from county roads that tie to major channels. And so really it's an advantage for helping drainage for the county road systems. And so that's what I'd be working on. And of course, as soon as we establish the right-of-ways on the west side that we have TNP working on, then obviously they would take priority and we'll jump over and hit those. So I have not forgotten about all those. We just have to establish those right-of-ways before we can jump over and pick those up.
Or you make a good politician.
Well, I appreciate that, but I just don't want to lose sight that we're using our resources to do the work that they're supposed to be doing. So.
And I will point out that, I talked to Corey about this the other day, and I'm okay with it as long as none of our county projects get put on hold or don't take priority over.
Correct.
I do understand that. And the county's going to be a priority. And just as a reminder, when we got the equipment last year, the first thing that we did was work along county roads, reestablishing our right-of-way that had grown up for years and years, and kind of in soggy areas where stuff had vegetation hadn't been mowed, and we tried to reestablish that back. So as those situations pop up, we have other areas, obviously the county's going to come first as a priority.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions or comments on anything on the consent for Corey?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Corey. You do a great job as always.
Thank you, commissioners. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Guns up, Corey.
Wreck 'em.
Thank you, guys.
Is that your office or are you at home?
I am in the conference room.
Okay.
But it has a better backdrop than my cubicle.
Yeah, I like the flag. It's nice.
Okay, so I think did we approve the, yep, where's Tom? I guess we do. voted on that. So we can move down to, yeah, Corey, you're good to go.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Corey.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
We'll move down to 510. Is BJ in the waiting room? Okay. We'll move to 510, discuss and consider Ravago America LLC project, Redfish, Chapter 381, Economic Development Program Agreement. BJ.
He was in, then after all that money, he got out. Guess we think we're going.
Okay, you want to send him a invite, and we'll move to get back in, and we'll come back to him. And we'll move down here to 9.1 environmental protection. Ma'am, okay.
That's BJ right there.
Oh, it's BJ back? Okay. We'll go back to BJ. You there, BJ? We're going to discuss 510, discuss and consider Ravago America.
Right, here he is. All right, now you got to speak up. BJ, can you hear us?
He's muted.
Hello.
Hey, BJ, can you hear us?
Yes. Yeah.
Hey, BJ, we was on 510, discuss and consider Ravago America LLC project Redfish, Chapter 381 Economic Development Program Agreement.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. This agreement is with Ravago Americas LLC for what was known as Project Redfish. You may recall the project was presented on a competitive basis back in November of 2020, competing against Manchester, Tennessee for a site. They ultimately chose to expand at their existing location in Cedarport Industrial Park. In May, the court approved the elements of the agreement, and today the agreement is being presented for final approval for record. The elements or the aspects of the project, it's a $55 to $60 million capital investment and the creation of 50 to 60 jobs.
Anybody have any questions or comments for BJ on this? No? Entertain a motion?
Move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Collins, seconded by Commissioner Tice. No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. BJ, we'll go to 511, discuss and consider Chambers County Foreign Trade Zone FTZ policy.
Thank you, Commissioner. The FTZ policy has been amended to reflect the court's intent to enter into pilot agreements, particularly in situations where there may be potential revenue loss associated with FTZ inventory. This is something that the court hadn't pursued in the past. However, particularly for applicants for a foreign trade zone designation that currently have or will have tax abatement agreements with the county, the language has been added to the policy to pursue and allow on a situational basis to enter into a payment of lieu of taxes agreement. So the policy is presented today for approval.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or comments for?
Yeah, BJ, as I was reading through it, looking at it, I get a little bit confused because we would be doing payment in lieu of taxes. So that basically would, I guess, negate their abatement. I mean, they would be paying the same amount in payment versus taxes. So what would be their incentive to do that? What would be the advantage of the foreign trade zone to the company at that point?
Well, it all depends on how they're going to use it, Commissioner. They may try to or want to use it to allay duties or manage inventory in a certain way. But the letter of non-objection or in exchange for letters of non-objection from all the taxing entities, allows the court to provide that, which is going to be the case for the floor and decor application that comes up in the next court. So the foreign trade zone advantage for them outweighs any sort of concern with respect to loss associated with keeping all the taxing entities whole.
And it's good for the county.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Any further questions for BJ? No. Entertain a motion.
Motion.
I'll second. Commissioner Hammond, seconded by Commissioner Combs.
I think that's what this, section 5 alludes to. So I think that kind of clears that.
Yeah, yes,
What you're saying.
they're paying payment in lieu of taxes, but
Yeah.
my question was, what's the advantage to the company? I mean, to the county, I mean, it's great for the county.
It is.
Yeah, it looks like it protects the county.
Yeah, it does, it's great.
Okay.
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay, no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We'll go to 512, discuss and consider Floor Decor Outlet of America Incorporated FTZ non-objection letter application. BJ.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is an application, request for a non-objection letter for the FTZ application for Floor and Decor Outlet of America. They currently have foreign trade zone designation at FTZ 84, and they're pursuing to transfer inventory that's in FTZ 84 to FTZ 171. And they have provided the application that reflects the criteria that's cited in the FTZ policy. And it answers all the questions that are essentially asked for in the policy. And the request is to approve the application, also to consider the letter of non-objection by the court.
And this would be under the agreement that we just voted in favor of, right?
No, it was a policy that the court just took action on. The agreement is the next item, 5.13.
Correct, but I'm saying this agreement would fall under that policy since we just passed that policy.
That is correct.
I'll move for approval.
Mr. Combs, seconded by Mr. Tice. No further discussion. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries. 5.13, discuss and consider Floor and Decor Outlet of America Incorporated FTZ pilot agreement. BJ.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is a pilot agreement for the Floor and Decor application request for a non-objection letter for their FTZ designation. In exchange for the county providing the FTZ non-objection letter, the court would enter into this payment in lieu of taxes agreement with Floor and Decor. It essentially keeps the county whole for any potential loss associated with inventory that the FTZ qualified.
Okay. Entertain a motion if there's no.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tice, seconded by Commissioner Hammond. It's on no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed, motion carries. 5.14, discuss and consider TGSCP 7575 Sutton Road LLC tax abatement application. BJ.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is a tax abatement application for a build-to-suit project in Cedar Port. The tenant is a substantial furniture retailer. The facility is going to be a 507,000 square foot warehouse and expected to start construction in December of 2021. And the application as presented today for acceptance, the idea would be to get additional information and make recommendations to the court on the 28th, given the elements that have been provided by the tenant. This project is significant. It has the potential to create up to 300 jobs by year 2027. And so what is presented today for the court's consideration is to accept the abatement application from TGSCP 7575 Sutton Road LLC.
Question for beginning this.
So would there be another abatement application from the tenant? Or
No, sir.
No?
No, the entity that will be entering into the agreement will be 7575 Sutton Road LLC.
Okay.
BJ, where has this building been located?
Good question. It is, there's, I think in exhibit, the application has the survey.
Yeah, I saw it, but I couldn't quite figure out where.
Where it is. Yeah, it's a good question. Off 1405.
Yeah, but I guess it's a Google that address. Is it
Yeah, right off the
on that vacant land that's right in front of where you turn in to go to Walmart? Just before you get to Oscar Nelson?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like it fronts in 1405.
Yeah, Sutton
Yep.
Road.
We'll have a better graphic depiction of where the site is when we come back on the 28th.
Right here. There's a canal. Gulf Coast. Is this, oh, this United Salt, that's right across
Yeah.
from Covestro.
No, that's where their office is. That's not,
Okay.
unless they're building it right beside their office. That's not Sutton Road. All right, yeah, we'll figure it out, but all we're doing today is accepting the application.
That is correct. Yes. So we'll provide it. I mean, I'm sure they're going to provide an aerial situation of the facility.
Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Mr. Hammond, seconded by
I'll second.
Mr. Combs. No further discussion. All in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Jay, I think that's all you had.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate discussing all this with you the other day and you sending me an overview of everything. It was quite helpful. I greatly appreciate the effort you put into everything.
Sure. Our pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You have a good weekend.
You too. You guys take care.
Thanks, BJ.
Take care.
I think we're completed on everything. Yes, ma'am. I'm finna do it right now. We just get back to the beginning. Environmental protection, I want to discuss, consider nuisance abatement for 17114 Choctaw, Baytown, Texas. 3336 Street, Seoul, Texas, and 8031 FM 565 Baytown, Texas.
I sent Victoria the Zoom link and she hasn't joined it.
Some of the pictures in here are pretty graphic.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see anybody here, and I think they invite them to discuss it or give a reason why they haven't done what they needed to do, but I mean, we need to, probably need to move forward and
So what action will we take?
come on. If it,
You want me to go call her real quick?
yeah, call her real quick. I'm trying to get down here to
I
it.
think the action would be to allow them to go forward with the abatement.
Yeah, if we have to clean it up, and put a lien against it. And if it's,
And the location for the tax abatement is next to Ben Lauren Verona.
yeah, if we have to go high, very high grass, we just go, is that, we're saying like partial part, so went over and mow it, and then we'll put a lien against it on that property. And in the same way, I don't, you don't do anything to that.
Yeah, I'd take this one off their hands for them. It's about 3 doors down from me.
Well, you go out there and move the grass, right?
Yeah, come on.
I need a bulldozer,
Mm.
man.
Okay. She is going to call her. Y'all want to go on to something else, or y'all want to make a decision on any of
Well,
that
I
right
think
now?
we're almost down to consent, aren't we?
Pretty much, we got,
Law enforcement.
yeah, 17-1. Going to skip to that and wait on Victoria.
You're the judge.
Well, unless y'all want to make a motion to go ahead and have them clean it up and put a lien against it. I mean, that's probably, I mean, Victoria. can put it
I'd
on
like to
there.
hear from Victoria because, I mean, that's pretty serious to somebody,
It
you know,
really
their home.
is.
And I don't want to take it too lightly.
Yeah, let's go ahead and wait and listen.
Okay, let's move down to law enforcement, 17.1, discuss and consider agreement for consulting service with Griffins, Mosley and Johnson and Associates, GMJ, for proposed scope of work to assist Chambers County in development of a temporary solution for the jail. Is the sheriff or Sherry or anybody available?
I talked to the sheriff a little bit about this and the company that he's talking to. Very highly regarded, and I understand they've already been consulting some. So,
Yes.
I mean, personally, I'm in favor of, y'all want to wait to hear from the sheriff.
No, I mean,
I'm ready to make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tynes. Okay.
There is a fixed fee not to exceed 20,000.
Yes.
For that.
Okay. That was in your motion?
Yes.
Your second?
Yeah.
Okay. No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Judge, I want to comment on that.
Okay.
Billy, I talked to the sheriff as well. I concur completely with that. Just thinking on that.
Where was that money coming from? Is that coming out? Where was you getting that money to pay for that not to exceed at 20,000?
That's a good question, because I don't really know. Actually,
Our precinct
This
one
is-
was paid for.
All heart. Is Aaron in there?
it,
Aaron? I mean, we was gonna try paying for
it
some
come
of
out
that.
of 091.
That's what I'm getting to. is
It
that-
can't come out of 091 because that's why we're having to build it.
Okay.
That's right.
This 20,000 not to exceed coming out of 091. From 17-1 law enforcement.
Consultation for the.
Okay. I mean, you might put that down as maybe a recommendation. I mean, we can take it out of there because of the COVID and everything else. I mean, it's health related. I mean, if it fits in the guidelines.
Well, the sales are self, we can pay for out of 091. So I think we would fund this out of 091.
I agree. Okay. We already made a motion and approved that, so I just wanted to see, make sure where it was coming from. 091 is fine. Okay, if we hadn't heard from Victoria, we're gonna move down to.
She just.
Oh, okay, we'll go back up
Do you
to.
want to vote on this one?
I thought we did.
We did.
Did we vote?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just wasn't sure where the money was coming from.
Yeah. Go back up to 9.1, discuss, consider nuisance abatements for 17114 Choctaw, Baytown, Texas, and 333 6th Street, Stoll, Texas, and 8031 FM 565 Baytown, Texas. Victoria.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you guys?
Good. Can you give us some insight on these, what y'all done to contact them and what's your communication been?
Yes, sir. So if we begin with the first agenda item was the one for 17114 Choctaw. We sent them a notice, but just as a courtesy notice the first time, but the mailing address listed in both the appraisal district and tax office is listed as the same physical address as a nuisance complaint. So we were then advised by Ryan Erickson at that time that we could post a notice on site informing the owners, or the public in this case, you could say, because anybody that passed by could see it, informing them of the nuisance on the property. Now, the reason that a nuisance case was open on this property was because of the high grass on this property and no one maintaining the property, which included the mobile home as well. If you could see in the pictures, I know it may not have been too clear, the door has been open all of the times that an inspection has been done. The grass has not been mowed at any moment, and the window facing the street also appears to be broken. So we posted that notice on site on July 12th, and we also sent this to the Baytown Sun to be posted in their newspaper. It ran in their newspaper for 2 different days, on the 13th of July and the 15th of July. As of then, we have not received any contact from anybody regarding this site. So this is why we brought it to your attention to see if we could possibly, have one of our departments get this at least the grass mowed. We understand that the mobile home may not be able to be removed or anything, but at least to get the grass mowed so that it does not cause a further nuisance for the surrounding neighbors.
Are they current on their taxes and everything? Whoever owns this property? Have you checked?
Yes, sir. I included a copy of the tax record with the paperwork I submitted. Give me one moment. Let me get to it.
I guess we was just. And that's the same people you're sending the notice to?
Yes, sir. These are the same people that we are sending the notices to. So as of, or at least what we could see on the tax receipt, they owed as of 2020 tax $82. So based on the receipt, on the tax statement, by November 30th of 2021 this year, they would owe $119.77, which is, that amount is with the interest of, they have not paid at that time.
How long's the place been vacant? Do you know? Any idea?
So the person that made the complaint said that they didn't tell us how long. We aren't aware of it either. She just said that the man that owned it had passed away and that the wife had moved out of the city.
You know, it is, okay. That name looks familiar to me. And I think the lady lives in Livingston now.
Yes, so she did, the complainant did state that the property had been severely overgrown and had been that way for more than a year.
Yep. So I think. Yep. Okay.
Now, I did request a estimate from the Parks Department. I spoke with Kirk Sherman. He has been a little busy, with other projects, especially with Gatorfest that rolled around. So, but he hasn't had a chance to get me the actual written statement, but he has been out to the property, so he has an idea of, what it would require as far as mowing the grass and the labor and equipment. So I'm just waiting for an actual written estimate from him, but we had contacted them to, try ahead and get an idea.
Okay. What about the other two? What's your?
Okay, so the other two, the second one we have put on the list was the property on the corner of 6th Street and Avenue A in Seoul. This has been a recurring problem. The property owner at the beginning had 2 RVs on the property and a partially demolished mobile home. So they got rid of the mobile home, and then after a couple notices and some more time given, they had removed one of the RVs. There was an RV left on there that it appeared they started to dismantle, so we gave them more time. After that, they did not, they just left it there. The weeds were overgrowing that RV. So when we sent the commissioner's court letter, or we sent them the notice that the case was going to be sent to commissioner's court, they started, I just went out yesterday. They did dismantle the RV. It looked charred in places. I sent the updated pictures to you. I don't know if you had a chance to see them. I know I just sent them this morning. But there's some charred remains, so I don't know if they completely started burning the whole thing down or if they were just trying to burn the remaining debris. I'm not 100% sure. And the grass has not been mowed. It appears maybe, with the weather we're having, it may have been about 2 weeks. It may have been longer. It does look taller than the last time that I had been out there. So we're just requesting at this time the grass be mowed and the debris be removed. I have not been able to communicate with the property owner, so I do not know what their plans are as far as, if they're gonna finish removing the debris or not. They have not contacted us for anything. Like I said, I found out that about this partially burnt debris because I went out to do the prior inspection before Commissioner's Court.
In the 8031 FM 565 by chance?
8031 SM 565. So when we first sent this notice to the owners, back in February, the owner had said, Ms. Griffith stated that they were elderly and her husband was sick, and so they had not been able to clean up and take care of the property. I granted her a little bit more additional time, more than the 30 days as she requested, because she said she didn't feel she was going to be able to clean the property up by then. And after that, we did not hear from her. We sent them more notices. For a time, it appeared that there may not have been someone there because we would not, it didn't seem like anybody was living there. So until recently, when we sent them the notice that it was going to be taken to Commissioner's Court, we did see that they have mowed the grass. This is another site where Kirk had actually gone, and he said that the day that his guys were out there supervising the area and trying to get an idea of what would be required to clean the property, he said that the owner was there and that they stated that they were in the process of mowing the grass. And they were also informed on site that it just reminded that this property was going to be taken to Commissioner's Court. But we have not heard from the owner since that first initial contact. No calls. When I went out to do the inspection yesterday, it appears that the grass has been mowed, but they still do have some trash. They have those abandoned vehicles. They have a lean-to on the right side of the house. It's practically fallen down. The grass really has been the only thing that they are right now taking care of since the notice we sent them that it was going to be taken to Commissioner's Court.
Okay.
They're living in that house?
I believe so. The time prior to this, whenever we were going to send in Commissioner's Court notifications, there was a dog inside the fenced-in area, but nobody came out to the gate. So like I said, I personally have not had any interaction with the owner in person. The only time, like I said, she called was whenever we sent the initial notice, and that was it.
So I go by there a couple times a day because I live right down the street from that. And I don't see any activity. The dogs, they sleep on the road at night. They're not taken care of very well. So, and this right here has been that way for years.
Is it?
Oh yeah, it's your photo too of the vehicles right there. That's been that way for, I know, 2-3 years for sure. So no, I don't see.
And the only reason that there may be times that does not look as bad is because during the winter months, it's not green, so you can see everything a little bit more clearly. But when spring rolls around, the plants start growing, the leaves come back, and so that kind of covers up some of the debris that's actually within the fenced-in yard. At this point right now, you really can't see it. I mean, you would literally have to get up right against the fence to try to get a good image. But whenever I've seen in the photos taken during the first inspection back in February, you can see a little bit more the miscellaneous items that are in the yard.
All right. Anybody else have any questions for Victoria? No? Okay. Entertain a motion on, I mean, we can do each one of them individually or whatever you want to do.
Victoria, do I understand like all you want to do right now is to mow each one of them?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that, Billy.
The abatements that you're looking to do at this moment, is it simply to mow, or are you going to be removing any debris or?
Well, we would like to remove the debris and mow. Like I said, for example, the one in Seoul, it's really just not going to be too much debris unless the owner happens to, clean it up before we actually get to it. But it's the high grass and the remains of that RV. This one on 8031, it would be all the debris, just
vehicles,
items. I don't want to say junk, of course. The items that are lying about the yard that are not usable, and the lean-to, because that does, it poses a danger to anyone on that property, just the way it looks to appear to be falling down. The property on Choctaw, we do ask that it be mowed, and I'm not, I would leave this to your determination, to the court's determination about whether the mobile home on Choctaw would need to be removed or just boarded up of some kind. The mobile home in this case, we haven't been able to get it right beside it, but it does not appear to be in a very bad state. If court would mow the grass, the neighbors may feel that that would be sufficient, because their main concern was that there is a lot of possums and rodents infesting the area because of the lack of management of this property.
Okay, the 8031, what do you do with the vehicles out there that are abandoned like that?
We typically, that I recall, we really haven't had this type of problem. I would consider asking the sheriff's office to see if they can tag them and then they be towed away. I really don't know as far as the vehicles.
Yeah, Road and Bridge can do the same tagging that they can put on there. And then you have a record company go pick them up. So maybe we may look into that as well. But whatever the court's desire.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the abatements for mowing and removing debris, and asked our sheriff's department to tag the vehicles.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Tice. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Victoria.
guys. Yes, sir.
Victoria, I'd ask in the future that we separate these. So, because I think all of them might have a little different action needed. So. That's fine. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank y'all.
We are down to
Bye-bye.
consent. We'll start with Commissioner Tice. Do you have anything you would like to pull? Good. Commissioner Hammond?
5 and 6.
5 and 6.
No, since we pulled 5, 6, I'm good.
You good? Okay. You want to discuss them out here or are you taking it to executive?
With what I've got, I can do out here. I don't know about.
Okay. We'll pull up.
What do you want?
Yeah, I need to go.
Executive? Okay, well, besides 5 and 6, if there's nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to approve the consent.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Ty, second by Commissioner Jones to approve everything but 5 and 6 that we will take to executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And going to executive. We will also, executive session items, executive session may include but not limited to applicable section under Texas Government Code Personnel, section 551.074. Consultation with attorneys, section 551.071. Deliberation of real property, section 551.072. Deliberation regarding security devices and security audit. And we're going to take 20.1, discuss and consider personnel issues. 20.2, discuss and consider engineering contractual. We need to take up in there, really? Matters on Kilgore? Nope, okay. Discuss 20.3, discuss and consider the sale of real property. 20.4, discuss and consider contract negotiation pertaining to indigent health care. And we will take off the consent 5 and 6. So we will recess out of regular commissioner court at 12 o'clock and go into executive session. All right, you're on. Okay, we'll reconvene the Commissioners Court after executive session. I think we need to, at what time is it? 12:40. We're back in Commissioners Court. We need to go ahead and entertain a motion on the consent agenda on 5 and 6.
I'll make a motion that we approve 19.5 and 19.6 with the following amendment to the job description of the medical office manager. That the essential duties read provides day-to-day direction and supervision services. And that would be changing the word management with direction.
Okay, entertain a second.
Second.
Commissioner Tice, and you've got the same second that he does with the amended stuff. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. There was nothing else, no action else coming out of executive session, so if nothing else was coming before the court, we are adjourned at 12:41.